So the word on the street is that Kotaku may be in a little bit of financial trouble, and it looks like they might be on their way out. And a lot of people aren't upset about that. I'm gonna miss them. Excuse me. I'm gonna miss them primarily because when they're gone, we won't get articles as stupid as this anymore. Because this, I read this and I was just like, this. I'll go over some of the finer points of it, and then I'll make my point at the end. But we'll give Gita Jackson their say, and then I'm gonna say what I got to say. Yesterday, a new teaser for the Final Fantasy VII remake dropped, and the players got to see and hear more of the characters as they will appear in the new game. For the most part, the reaction is positive. It was very positive. I'm very happy with it. I mean, I'm not super happy with the episodic stuff. I liked it better when it was open world, but I will take what I can get. In the case of Barrett Wallace, the reaction has been mixed. And by reaction is mixed, they mean 3 people on Twitter complained about it, so they're going to make a big deal out of it. I've never played Final Fantasy VII, and it shows. And because of that, I'm interested in the remake. When it came out, the PlayStation was my older brother's console. And I wasn't allowed to touch it, and he rightfully feared I'd break it or mess up his saves. Eventually, I was old enough to be trusted not to destroy a console, but by then, the game was much harder to find. Bullshit. By the time I was in high school, I'd already heard many stories from my friends about how this game had such a strong emotional impact on them. I didn't learn that Barrett was a pretty egregious stereotype of blackness until long after I had internalized the idea that my video game fandom was incomplete if I hadn't played Final Fantasy VII. All right, we'll read a little bit more, and then I'll come back to this. Everything that's wrong with this article. We'll come back to everything that's wrong with this article in just a minute. Barrett is a stereotype of a gruff black man in the English translation of the original game. I'm going to get this point out of the way before I even move on. A lot of 90s English translations of Japanese games were shit. Okay? There it is. I will give you that point. That is the only point you get. That is the only little bit of ground that you get, Gita Jackson. In Kotaku video producer Tim Rogers' analysis of the translation, he points out how the English translation, which he says was done by a single person in 2 weeks, inserted that characterization after the fact. Barrett's characterization in this version involves an exaggerated black dialect. It wasn't that bad. And his retranslated dialogue now has also emphasizes Americanized ideals about masculine. Oh, God. Your bullshit showing. In what Tim describes as the most important text box in Japanese role-playing game English translation history, the game mistranslates Barrett's expressions of empathy to a depressed Cloud instead of telling Cloud that everyone gets depressed like he does in the Japanese text. Barrett says that people only get depressed if they don't know what's going on. All right, I've read most of this. I'll just Mr. T. It wasn't a Mr. T characterization. All right, that's funny, but I didn't. That's not what I got from it. Sound like Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. That's funny, but that's I didn't pick up on that. All right. I've gave this individual their say. Now I'm gonna drop I'm gonna drop what I gotta say. You don't know obviously a damn thing about this game, Gita Jackson, and to say that you could not find it in any game store when you got a little bit older is ridiculous. You couldn't walk 2 feet and at EB Games, GameStop, Software, etc., even like just local used game stores, you know, hobby shops, you couldn't walk 2 feet without tripping over a copy of Final Fantasy VII or a stand-up. All right, I don't want to hear this, I couldn't find it, it was too hard. No, the Dragon Ball GT game that came out, that was hard to find, okay? I know because I looked for it. Late 90s, early 2000s, that shit was hard to find. Final Fantasy VII, shit, it was everywhere. Every single place. So don't give me this bullshit, you couldn't find it. That's point number one. Point number two is, how is Barrett a stereotype? Where do they get this? Barrett was a community leader. He was one of the community leaders in his little village where he came from, with like Dine, who was like his best friend. Their families were friends before Shinra came in, spoilers, and wiped everybody out. And after that, Barrett took Marlene, who was Dine's daughter, like his best friend's daughter. He raised her from a baby. That is not stereotypical. No. God, no. Where the hell do you get this? And then he founds the Resistance. God, he founds Avalanche. Oh, he's a stereotype. No. Defend this bullshit. You don't know what you're talking about. You have never, you've never played this game. You didn't even do proper research on this game. All you had to do was visit a fucking Wikipedia page, pardon my language, and look it up. That was all you had to do. If you want to fake something, if you want to act like you know what you're talking about, there are wiki pages everywhere to tell you what you need to know about plot points. You couldn't even be bothered to do that right. So no, Gita Jackson, this article is garbage. Kotaku is garbage, and oh, good. I'm going to have to go read something from a reputable website just to wash this trash out of my brain. But no, I do not. This is, I'm not even. I can't even with this right now. But that's where I'm at on this. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm excited for the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm eager to hear what you've got to say. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.